What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sports Snobs. I'm Pat. He's Kaz. Check us out on thescenesnobs.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube as well. Like I said last time, if you want to see the beautiful face behind this beautiful voice, I don't know about the other beautiful face, although he likes to think so. But Brian, again.
I heard we're on Patreon now.
Patreon. Please clarify for the listeners what Patreon is.
That's one of the biggest podcast networks.
Well, not everyone may know that. I just want to educate the listeners, make sure they have all the outlets that they can.
Our wonderful producer now has us on that, and it's wonderful. I'm looking forward to see our 10 listeners on Patreon.
Sure. I think we're getting an OnlyFans soon, too. Rumor. I don't know if that's true or not.
Hey, I might have one already. All right? I might. I'm just saying.
Maybe we'll throw the link in there at the end for people to directly connect to that. All right, now let's jump right in as we always do with the NFL rapid recap here. Few games that stood out to me. Not sure about you, but I'll let you take your thoughts and on some of these games here. But first and foremost, because I called it, I have to talk about this one first. Bills Steelers, and we talked about the power rankings last week.
You got one game right. You got one game right all week. That's later in the week. Okay, I will go there.
We'll talk later about that, but I'm saying the power rankings we talked about last week had the Steelers above the Bills by 2 spots, right? Chiefs, I think it was they were 2 ahead, the Packers were ahead of the Bills, and I said, hey, Bills I think are the better team, and they're going to prove by beating the Steelers. And sure enough, they beat the Steelers, and it I don't know if it necessarily felt close. Watched most of the game, but the Steelers, you could tell they were run down. I mean, playing 3 games in a matter of essentially 2 weeks in terms of days, actual days between games, will do that to you against a solid Buffalo Bills team. So I'm not shocked, but I just wanted to toot my own horn there that the Bills they're the real deal. So
that's why you let off with it.
Absolutely.
To just
absolutely.
Okay. Pat yourself on the back. Go ahead.
I will. What were your thoughts? I mean, you I don't know if you were necessarily
Steelers looked like trash. They honestly did. I didn't want to talk about this game because I was hoping for a Week 17 Dolphins Bills for the division. And we'll get to that other game later, but it was ugly. And the Steelers, I mean, I'm happy they're not undefeated. My 76 Dolphins, they can pop their champagne. They can pop now a second bottle of champagne if they want to. Most of them probably can't even pop a bottle of champagne. They're that old. But, the Steelers, I mean, God, I thought it was going to be closer than that. I really did. I was upset. I wanted them to win, not just because my second or third favorite team is the Steelers. You've heard Chris criticize how many teams I like.
Of course.
But I just want the Bills to lose. I really did.
So real quick, what are you doing if you're the Steelers right now? Because obviously you got helped out by the Ravens last night, on Monday night, beating the Browns.
Did you?
So now,
did you though?
Well, technically, right? I mean, the division is essentially yours. All you have to do is win maybe one more game, right? You have the head-to-head. So what do? Do you rest the week, or do you play for the first seed? Which I don't think you're going to catch the Chiefs. I mean, I know it's only one game, but I don't know if it's even worth it.
Yeah, I mean, this year only having one bye, it's very different. And I think you'll see, which helps us that play fantasy. You're not going to have that many teams that sit out a week because you only have one bye. And You got the 7 teams that get in. So even that bottom of the barrel, and I hate to say it, the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Browns are there too. They're going to play to win it. So I think COVID maybe helped that side of it, where you're not going to see a Patriots back in the day who in week 16 would play Tom Brady like it was a preseason game. You're not going to see that. They got to win every game. They got to go all out. So it'll be a fun end of the season, and I hope it works out well for everyone. I really do, and I hope it doesn't end up in an injury for one of those star players.
Yeah, you gotta hope for that for sure. Else it makes the playoffs kind of lackluster. But you mentioned the Dolphins, so we'll jump to that one. So Chiefs Dolphins. It was an interesting game for the first half. It was physical. It was kind of what I think most people expected. Dolphins have a pretty solid defense. Disrupt Pat Mahomes. 3 interceptions. I don't know the last time. I don't think he's ever done that. I'm not sure. I think the Super Bowl he had 3 interceptions and then came back. I thought it was 2, but hey, maybe. In any event, Dolphins blow that solid defensive effort.
Thank you again. Thank you again, my friend. I really appreciate it. Just keep on cutting me. Just keep on cutting.
So they're in an interesting spot. They may not. I mean, they're definitely fighting for that 7 seed, potentially 6, but it's possible that they don't even make the playoffs. And again, not trying to beat you down on this one, but they were.
Oh, you are trying to beat me down.
So it's like them, the Raiders. I don't know. Do you have true hope?
I wish we played in the NFC East and not the AFC East. I'm just gonna say that.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. But I don't know. Chiefs look good. Pat Mahomes obviously had an off game, but everything else clicked. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce dominated. All right, here's the question I have for you. Sure. Ask away.
Going into the season, did you even think the Dolphins would be in contention for a playoff spot?
Oh, absolutely not.
So as a Dolphin fan, should I not be excited that not only are they in contention for a playoff spot, but they have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds next year? They're going to get more young talent. So you know what? I'm not hating it. I'm very happy. I like Flores. I like the new system, the general manager, everything like that. I like it. They're doing the right things. They didn't trade Xavier, who's phenomenal. That interception he had in the end zone was ridiculous. So they're doing the right things. They're actually making me want to be a fan again, which I lost about 3 years ago. But I think they're going in the right direction, and 4 more picks. Let's go. Let's get Tua, more linemen. Let's get more defensive linemen. Let's get another wide receiver, and let's go. And a running back. We need a running back. I'm not going to lie.
They're definitely set for the future. There's no doubt about that. The question is whose core players are going to, and of course the Dolphins are still much younger than the Bills from that perspective, but whose core players are going to stick together the longest, right? Because that's going to really give you that experience as a team to potentially, be a perennial playoff team. Because the Bills and the Dolphins they're both built for it. The question is who's going to, stay together longer. The coach has a big part of that too. I think Brian Flores, I'm not knocking the Bills coach McDermott, but I think Flores is just kind of he's just a different type of guy. He's got that Mike Tomlin or like Bill Belichick type of feel. So I think that is something that they have that the Bills don't necessarily have.
Hey, not this week, but last week, one of his
He's ready to
players
fight.
got hurt, and he came across, right? And I love that fire, and everybody criticized him for that. But yet, before that, everybody criticized the Cowboys for not coming across the field when Dalton got hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, like, the Stephen A. Smith and the Max Kellerman, that they're going to go after the Cowboys for not protecting their player. But then when a coach goes to protect their player, they're going to criticize him for doing that. And I just don't understand it.
Yeah, speaking of criticisms, one team that seems to self-criticize, at least coach to player, Bucks. Bruce Arians is obviously very vocal about his players, probably in the opposite way. Not that he's not supportive of them, but he's kind of just like speaks his mind, which I respect to some extent. You know, you don't have to bow down to the players. So they had an interesting game with the Vikings. I thought the Vikings
last week with my little derby.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's probably why the Bucks played so well. It was that hat. But I expected the Vikings to be more competitive, and they just came out flat, and it was just same old Kirk Cousins. Dalvin Cook scored a touchdown, but I mean, it wasn't anything like take over the game type of feel. Interesting, because I really thought that they could be a playoff team, but I don't think that's really going to be the case now.
So I've spoke on the show. If anybody has listened more than 1 week, I thought the Vikings would overtake the Packers. I really did. They started out slow, they got hot, and now they're just garbage. They're garbage. Dalvin Cook is playing phenomenal. You have Adam Thielen. How are you not getting him the ball more? You're making tons of money as the quarterback, Cousins. Do something. Win the game. Do something. But they looked horrible, and I really wish they would have won, because if there's anything I hate more than the Jets, it's Tom Brady.
Well, two things. One, Thielen's not getting the ball because Justin Jefferson seems to be the real deal. And he's a rookie, but he's definitely in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Almost leading the league in receiving yards and some of the other major categories. It looks like Thielen and Diggs again, right? They have the two top receivers, because Thielen's having a great year, just a not so great game because Kirk Cousins didn't get him the ball. But Justin Jefferson's the real deal, and the Bucs are still not impressive. I don't know. Their defense was impressive, but they're not blowing me away. I'm not convinced that they are going to make a long run in the playoffs, which everybody.
They were Super Bowl. Everybody said they would be the first team to play a Super Bowl in their home stadium. And I'm not a religious person. I prayed to God it wouldn't happen. And it's not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
That's because the Saints might very well be playing that Super Bowl, which would just be fantastic. That would be hilarious to be playing the Super Bowl when everyone picked your division rival to play in their home stadium. The Saints might be representing the NFC East. They had an interesting game though against the Eagles, and I know Taysom Hill played. I know Drew Brees is still out. I understand that, but to the same point, you have Jalen Hurts playing for the Eagles, so it kind of balances it out from a backup quarterback perspective. And he just looked 10 times better than Taysom Hill in every aspect of the game, including running, which that's really what Hill does best.
But Hurts is a quarterback. Taysom Hill is a tight end. And the Saints will not go anywhere unless Breeze and his 11, 12, 14, 25 cracked ribs. Every week I hear it's more. I don't know how many it is. If he does not get healthy, the Saints aren't going anywhere, because teams are going to find out how to fix or stop Taysom Hill. And that's what the Eagles did. And Hurts is a quarterback. Carson Wentz is done. He's done. I
He's
mean,
in Philadelphia for sure.
I don't know where he goes after this.
Contract is killer.
Yeah, that contract is killing him. I don't know how Philadelphia gets rid of him, because I believe it's a guaranteed contract, so they can't just drop him. It'll hit the cap. So it's an ugly situation in Philadelphia. I feel bad for Wentz because I believe that after he took them on that miraculous run and then Foles won the Super Bowl because he got hurt, I feel he has that pressure where he feels like he needs to bring the Eagles back to a Super Bowl. And I think he overdoes things. So a change of scenery will help him, but will there be a change of scenery? I don't know.
Yeah, the fans don't like him. His teammates don't seem to like him from what they talk about. And to your point last week, they root for the underdog. Jalen Hurts is the underdog in this case, just as Nick Foles was. And I just thought, an interesting thought popped into my head. Many of these a day, and I can't write them all down and share them with you on the show. So this one I have to share. I wonder,
that's why we have notes. That's why we have show notes.
Just real quick, off the cuff. I'm sorry. This is off the cuff, though. How about, what would you think of Carson Wentz in Pittsburgh? That would be an interesting fit.
You're getting rid of Ben?
Well, I'm just saying, if Ben were to say, hey, I've had enough, I'm physically done, he's not in the greatest shape. So they're just an interesting comparison from a size perspective. I don't know. He's more athletic, Carson Wentz, obviously. So I don't know. Just an interesting thought popped in bed. I don't know if they would take that.
More athletic now, but Ben, when he was young, oh my God, he was a beast.
Oh, yeah.
A beast.
We'll see. If I'm the Steelers, though, and I know Ben's done in the next 2 years, I may seriously consider making that call. He's already in the state of Pennsylvania, so who knows? One quarterback who, and I'll start this by saying we'll jump into our react or relax segment. React if you agree, relax if you disagree. And the first one here, speaking of quarterbacks, I don't know. I don't know personally what the fan base is thinking, but the Bears had a pretty decent game against the Texans, albeit the Texans. But the first statement here,
Texans are pretty good. Come on.
They're all right. But Mitchell Trubisky, a.k.a. Mitch, Big Mitch, will be the starting quarterback of the Bears next year.
All right, here's I just thought of this. That's where Wentz goes. Wentz goes to the Bears because Foles wasn't performing. Trubisky had a decent game, but that's where Wentz goes, and now you got Wentz versus Trubisky instead of Wentz versus Foles. And it won't be good for either quarterback, but that's where he goes. Hey, maybe Fitzmagic goes there. Maybe.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if he ended up in Chicago. It's probably the one team he hasn't played for yet. Yeah, I can't see Trubisky being the starter next year. It's too much flip-flopping. The guy's been the starter, he's been the backup. He's been the starter, he's been the backup. He gets injured, he's back. Like, there's so much back and forth at this point. If you can't understand that this guy is not the starting quarterback for your team, and he may be a starting quarterback for another team, not a great team.
He started, 13 games in college at North Carolina, which isn't a quarterback school. Just saying. A point guard, maybe you could get a point guard or a shooting guard out of North Carolina. You ain't getting a quarterback out of North Carolina.
No, absolutely. And I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, but that's the Bears for you. They haven't had a phenomenal quarterback, and I don't know if they've ever had a phenomenal quarterback. They're usually a defensive and kind of
come on, McMahon with the headband. Come on,
Vince McMahon.
Yes, Vince McMahon. You're fired.
The coaching staff should be fired. All right, next one here. All right, let's keep it in the division. Let's keep it in the division here. NFC North. After this week of football, Aaron Rodgers is your MVP.
So here's my problem, right? Why does it always go to a quarterback? There are so many great running backs that are out there. Derrick Henry, I think, should be in the running for MVP because of what he's doing, how he's performing. Minus this week, Dalvin Cook. How many 200-yard games did he have? Come on. It always goes to a quarterback. I still will say Russell Wilson or DK Metcalf should get it just because of my fantasy team. But that's all I'm going to say.
You did it again. You keep disrespecting Russell Wilson. That's not how we refer to him. Come on now.
No, that's how I refer to him.
No, you have to refer to him by his alter ego, or else you can't say his name.
No, that's how you refer. I'm not ghetto like you.
So that's how he refers to himself. Mr. Unlimited. And he looked unlimited this week against the Jets, who are just an absolute disgrace to football.
Dude, I would have 400 yards against the Jets.
You could. You absolutely could. Any quarterback in the league could have 400 yards against the Jets, including Trubisky and Wentz and Jalen or anybody.
I just wish I was playing you in the playoffs this week. Well, no, I don't. You put up 133, so let me take that back.
Yeah, I actually had a solid week because Cam Akers is now officially the starting running back for the Los Angeles Rams. Took him 3/4 of the season to figure that one out. All right, so last one here. Chiefs, Bills, Packers, Saints. Those are the 4 teams that'll be playing championship weekend.
I'm going to say no. Because how many times has there been the top 2 in each division actually made it to the finals? So if I had to bet money on it, I'm going to take no. The Bills are playing very well right now. I don't know if and maybe it's bias, I don't know if they're going to continue that. And the Saints, if they don't get Breeze back soon, they're not going to be there. I like the Packers. I like the Chiefs. The Steelers, I think, are going to come back. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Saints. I think the other 3 teams, I think the AFC is kind of a foregone conclusion, honestly. Unless the Steelers take 2 weeks off to rest their players and get healthy and not drop the ball 17 times a game, I don't see them.
Their linebackers aren't getting healthy. They're out for the year.
I can't see them advancing in the playoffs, especially when the emphasis is on run the ball and play solid defense. This isn't the same Steelers team, if it's not healthy and it's not well rested as in.
What happened to James Conner? What happened to him?
Well, he had COVID, right? And I think it's just kind of lingering. Hey, there's no other explanation because he's standing on the sideline with the big parka on, and it doesn't look like he's actually injured. I don't know. I could be wrong. But maybe he has had pre-existing conditions like with cancer and whatnot. So I don't know if it affected him differently than it affected other players. Maybe he just doesn't have it. Similar with Cam, right? Cam was kind of shaky for the next 2 weeks after he came back. So maybe it's just lingering more in James Conner. But in any event, I could see the Chiefs, the Bills making it. I want to say the Rams. Got to watch out for the Rams. They play great defense. They have a great defensive line. That's the one team. If Drew Brees is not healthy, the Saints will not beat the Rams without Drew Brees. There's absolutely no shot because they're not going to run the ball. So I'd say I'd pick the Rams honestly over the Saints as everything stands today. But obviously Brees will come back after his 76 ribs heal, and maybe he'll be in full form. We'll see.
He had worse rib injuries than Jesus Christ. That's all I'm saying.
And you're not a religious person at all, right?
No.
Oh, geez. All right. College football. Let's move on to college football. They just released the updated rankings Tuesday evening. college football playoff rankings, that is. And again, same 4 at the top: Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State, the Ohio State University, as they say.
Don't ever say that. I hate when people say that.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I just had to do it, see how it felt, and it burned my tongue as I said it. But the next couple after that, or a few after that, you have A&M still sitting at 5, which makes sense. And then you have Iowa State, Florida, Georgia, then Cincinnati.
You gotta love the ticker. Oh, you missed the ticker.
Oh, I missed it.
You missed it. It was wonderful. I'm sorry, Mick Manhattan. I'm sorry.
I'll have to rewatch it. I'll watch our episode and I'll see what the ticker said there. But what are your thoughts? Nothing changes in the top 4, which I guess is expected.
I hate it. There is no reason, and I think we touched on this last week, that the Big Ten should change their rules just so Ohio State gets in. I want Northwestern to win that game so bad so that the Big Ten gets nobody in. And Ohio State did nothing wrong. They didn't cancel any games because they had COVID, but I don't like you changing the rules midway through so that your team gets in. They wouldn't have changed it if it was Wisconsin. Wisconsin didn't play 2 or 3 games. They wouldn't have changed it. They changed it because Ohio State was the only team that can get them in the bowl series and get them money. So I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to beat the Ohio State drum again, although I agree. It's just not even worth it at this point because that's the way college football works, especially the Big Ten with Ohio State. Let's just, there's no way this is going to change, right? The only way this change, and this is the second to last ranking, so the final rankings are next week after the, conference championships, but there's no way that the top 4 is really going to change, with the exception of Northwestern beating Ohio State, right? Which I don't think anybody really sees happening.
I can actually see if Clemson loses again, I can see them falling out.
Yeah, I guess, but then I guess you take then A&M jumps in, but A&M got blown out by Alabama, so it's hard. I don't know. It's just
Cincinnati.
Well, they dropped this week, and they're not playing in a conference champion. They're done. They can't move up. They'd have to have every team in front of them lose by 30 points in order for them to make the playoff now. So they're kind of screwed. I think A&M is the only shot. A&M is the only shot, to your point. If Clemson loses by 2 touchdowns, they're out. And then A&M jumps in. Or if Ohio State, but Ohio State's not going to lose. I mean, who are we kidding? So it's really going to come down to Clemson.
But if there was ever a year to expand the playoffs, this was the year. And
you see those they had mock playoffs online, 8 teams, 16 teams. 16 team is just crazy. You can't do that. But the 8 team one was, it just looks awesome. It would make a ton of money too. That's what they want, right? They want the money. Players would be totally into it. Obviously, if you have an A&M and Iowa State, when's the next time Iowa State would even have a shot at making the college football playoff?
You do the first round, the Christmas bowls. The second round is the New Year's Day bowls. And then the championship is always the week after New Year's. So I don't understand why they're not doing it.
They could even do a 6 team, give the top 2 teams a bye week, and then just do it kind of that style, and at least give something. This is the perfect year to try it. MLB did it, right? Runner on second base in extra innings, DH in the NL, which I think they're going to keep some of these rules. So, why not try it? Well, why not just say, hey, it's 2020, anything goes. That's
especially with the nobody being able to play cross conference unless you're BYU and get blown out by what was it, Central Carolina, whatever the hell it was.
Carolina, yeah. The only way they would expand is if you had Ohio State sitting at number 5 or number 6, or Alabama.
And I swear to God, if Ohio State loses this championship and they go, you know what? We're going to expand it to bring in Ohio State. I will never watch college football in my life again. I won't.
That's you and everybody else outside of the state of Ohio. I think we would all be on the same page. Absolutely. All right, so we'll see. I'll be tuned in. I'm rooting for Northwestern, but we'll see what happens there. Moving on to the NBA, and we're getting closer. Only a little over a week away from the start of the regular season in the NBA. We got some preseason action, so it was cool to see, Kyrie and KD and Brooklyn, see the young guys on the Knicks, and a couple other rookies who were just showing out. But what are your, I guess, just general thoughts on basketball being back? I know it wasn't gone for too long, but to watch the action.
I'm not a big fan of it being back this fast. For those teams that actually made it far, my Lakers.
So wait, time out. We have to, your Lakers, your Dolphins. What else do you root for? Are we rooting for like North Dakota in college football? What are we doing?
My Devils, they're up here.
Oh, that's the only local team. What are we doing? Miami Dolphins and Los Angeles Lakers?
And the Yankees.
Oh, it does. Go on, please. This is a disgrace. You got to get the state of California on the hat and then the state of Florida next to it now.
I grew up a Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kareem fan, okay?
Sure.
I styled my game after Magic Johnson. I would do the behind the backs and all that. Come on, dude.
That got you really far.
But hey, it got me to Division III basketball, and that's where it got me.
Well, sorry to cut you off, but go on, please. Please share your thoughts on it being back.
So, teams that have gone that far into the playoffs, they had a month off, 2 months off. That's not fair. A team like the Nets, the Knicks, anybody else who you like from New York, because you're a New Yorker, and apparently you like hometown teams only. They've had 5 months off. So it's not fair. Like the Phoenix Suns, right? They had a battle to get in, and they played so damn well. They actually improved their team, but they had 2 months off. I don't think it's fair at all. I really don't.
Yeah, and now they're actually going to start issuing fines for teams that don't start their players who are healthy, which is interesting because there's no fans. So I don't really. This is one thing that doesn't make sense to me because I get it if there's fans who are paying for a ticket to watch these teams. Granted, you pay for certain channels on television, but just an odd year to start that one. Start finding teams that are benching players.
They actually were going to start that last year, and then COVID kind of messed it up.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that because then you could just lie and say, "Oh yeah, my toe hurts." I mean, how are you going to? You're going to have an independent physician examine the person and do tests to prove that he has that ailment.
Right.
I mean,
and how we talked about it earlier. NFL teams sit how many people week 17 because they already got the bye. They don't get fined. So why can't you rest the player? Why can't you?
And these teams are going to want to rest players in the beginning. Like if I'm the Lakers and if there were no fines, I'd be resting my whole team for the first 2 weeks. What is that? Maybe 4 or 5 games, maybe 6 games. I'd rest them for the first 2 weeks. Say, hey, to hell with the 6 games. We might win 2 of them without LeBron and AD. And I'm good.
If I was the coach, I wouldn't rest them for all 6. I'd have them play every other game.
Yeah, just check into the game for like what 2 minutes. They can't find you then, right? As long as he's
no. I mean, as a coach, I'd have them play like every other game, so I'd give them that break.
Yeah, for sure.
I want them to get that chemistry because they do have a lot of new parts.
No, that's a good point, especially the Lakers. They've kind of revamp their entire roster, the role players at least. The one thing that stood out was LaMelo Ball. I mean, that dude. Listen, I can't stand the Ball family, and I don't think I'm alone in that. But man, he makes basketball look so easy. It's disgusting. It angers me. It's like the behind the back. It's so smooth. It's like, dude, I can't even dribble a basketball up the court like just normal, like without losing the ball. Like I could play any other sport, basketball. I just don't have the coordination for it. Like, and he's just doing Steph Curry type things.
I've seen you play softball. You can't play every other sport.
Wow. Jeez.
No, but his first game, he didn't score. He's the number 3 pick. He did not score. He had 4 assists and did not score.
He's a facilitator.
He had 4 assists in the first game. 4.
How many minutes did he play? 20 minutes? Not even 20 minutes? Oh, I appreciate that.
I don't care. That means you helped 8 points in 20 minutes. 8 points in 20 minutes. You are not a number 3 pick. Just saying.
I don't know. Charlotte thinks so.
He had one nice pass that made it the Sports Center top 10, and I'll give him all the credit in the world. It was a beautiful pass. But what else did you do that whole game?
I don't know. But what happened after the game? Did he talk to the media?
I honestly don't know. I'm sure his father did. I don't know.
Yeah, he probably did more than Kyrie, right? I mean, but now Kyrie Irving all of a sudden wants to talk to the pawns.
No, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to lose his money. That's what
it's not only his money. I didn't realize the team gets fined.
Yes.
Like he got fined $25,000 for not speaking to the media one day, and then the Nets got fined $25,000. That's crazy. And that's probably like, dude, you're not doing that to us. You need to just pull a Marshawn Lynch and just show up and just say the same thing over and over again.
Why do you think Marshawn Lynch did that?
Yeah. Kyrie thinks he's like some sort of philosopher, so he can't stand up there and just say the same thing over and over again.
This is the one time I will take my New Jersey hat and turn it backwards because I don't rep Kyrie. I'm not a big Kyrie fan. I've known him for many years. He thinks he's the biggest superstar in the world. He's a great player. He really is. But he goes after LeBron. He goes after everybody, and you're not on that level. You're a second-tier player, my friend. Like you said, he's a facilitator. He is not that guy. So my Jersey hat backwards because I will not represent Kyrie from Jersey.
Fair. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. Hell of a player. Hell of a second kind of a, the Robin, right? I mean, he's not going to, oh, geez, Uncle Drew. Yes, Uncle Drew was great. Absolutely great. But
Uncle Drew wasn't from New Jersey. That's all I'm going to say.
No. But he's just not that guy. He's proving that by Kevin Durant being there. So we'll see. I mean, it was cool to watch Kevin Durant play, obviously, after having the Achilles injury. But and he looks normal. He looks like he's
playing well. Happy to see him playing well.
Like he just took some time off, and it's like, hey, jumps fine. He had one drive to the basket that, I mean, he looked perfectly healthy. So we'll see about that. But last year on the NBA, as we clocked.
All right, we're done with Kyrie. I could turn my hat back around.
Yeah, you can turn your hat back. But what you'll have to do now is find a local strip club in honor of James Harden, because James Harden is set to play some basketball in their final preseason game for the Rockets, obviously, after spending most of his last 2 weeks in Atlanta and what was the other place? Vegas. How did I forget Vegas? Of course. Hanging out at the gentlemen's clubs. I apologize. I used the wrong terminology earlier. That was offensive, and I apologize to anybody who I offended. At the gentlemen's clubs. But now he's back on the court. But I don't know why. I don't. Can he possibly play for the Rockets this season?
I'm going to say yes. They have his rights for 2 years. So unless they get a good offer, they're just going to be like, come keep playing. Because it's not like the NFL. It's not like other sports where you can just not show up. So they'll make him show up. They'll make him play until they get the right offer. Now, will it hurt the locker room? Will it hurt the chemistry of the team? Absolutely. I mean, they went out and got John Wall, and John Wall was a professional and said, I really think me and Harden could be a great team.
Mm-hmm.
And Harden responded and was just like, no, I want to leave. I want to leave. So it's going to hurt the team.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Rockets fans are feeling right now. I mean, the guy clearly doesn't want to be there. He's likely not going to be there next year, right? They're going to move if he's there when the season starts. He's going to get moved by the trade deadline, but to a contender. There's no. If Philadelphia is sitting there at a 3 seed in the East, and they're competitive, they're only 4 or 5 games back. And Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid aren't clicking, which, I mean, they haven't really been in the past either. You have to think about just moving Ben Simmons. You have to. There's no way that can't come into your mind.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate now. Ben Simmons, I'm not a big fan of his.
No, so, they're gonna have to do something else.
Would you take that if you're Houston? Would you take Ben Simmons and 2 draft picks if the Sixers are 4 games out and Simmons is playing like he normally plays, which isn't good? Are you going to say, okay, we'll give you Harden? No, I don't think you will.
Well, I mean, I think they would, because what is Houston playing for right now? If you would think about the Western Conference as the Rockets are currently constituted, what are they, a 6 or 7 seed? Maybe. I mean, that's generous. They might not even make the playoffs based on how the West is they're just getting better. The Suns are getting better. The Nuggets obviously played really well last season. The Clippers aren't going anywhere. The Lakers, the Jazz are obviously up there. Then you have the Mavericks, and Luka's going to be probably better this year than he was last year. He's the front runner for the MVP.
There's so many teams, if he's healthy.
There's so many teams in the West. If you're the Rockets, you have to say, we're not winning a championship, so why are we paying this man $50 million a year?
Does Philly have any draft picks?
I'm sure they can conjure something up. They have to. I'm just saying, if they're close and it's not, if they're back by 10 games, then you have to think, all right, we're not going to be able to compete in a 7-game series in the playoffs. But if it's close in the East, you have to at least give it serious thought about moving Ben Simmons. But moving on to college basketball. Not much to talk about here, honestly. There's nothing really going on. It's cancellation, postponement. Oh, top 10 team goes down. It's just like the same thing. It seems week to week. Kentucky, I don't know what's wrong with Kentucky. They're not looking very well. Last year I was I was dialed in. I've been watching like Seton Hall games every time they're on, obviously because I went to Seton Hall and I have a rooting interest. But I was watching a lot of college basketball last year. This year I'm just not into it. And there's games on like literally all day long, and I can't. I don't know what it is.
I'm going to say the same thing. I am a huge college basketball fan. I'm more of a college basketball fan than I am pro basketball, because college basketball is a team sport. Pro basketball is give the ball to LeBron, give it to whoever, and they just go. So I really love college basketball, but I'm not into it this year because I know it's not going to... I shouldn't say I don't know. I do not believe there will be March Madness. With all of the viruses and the cancellations, I don't feel like it's going to happen. But the one thing is who would have ever thought that Rutgers men's basketball would be ranked higher than their women's basketball. They're ranked 19th.
Yeah, they're playing well. They're fully invested. And there's a lot of talk between coaches. I think a few coaches took a shot at Coach K for his comments, which we talked about last week. And I think it's kind of divided. There's those coaches who are saying, "What are we doing this for?" And then there's some that say this is their outlet. These players want to play basketball. They're safe here. They get tested every day. I don't know. It looks like they want to play basketball, obviously. But to your point, I don't know if it's worth it. And maybe like we talked about last week, take some time, take the next 2 to 3 weeks off, reevaluate, come back in the new year and say, this is our plan. Because the protocols, they're just not working. And you can't even fault them. I mean, it is what it is. These players are traveling all over the country.
It's not football where you travel once a week. It's basketball. You're traveling 3 to 4 times a week. It's not going to end well. I really do not believe that, and I agree with Coach K. Not many times I agree with a Duke person, but I do here.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily agree with him given the timing of his comments, but the concept, obviously, I agree with. And last thing here, I'll let you take it here. There's a couple fights this weekend. This is kind of your realm, your world. I won't try to pretend that I am as educated or aware of what's going on in this UFC and boxing. So please.
So I did not purchase the UFC fight, and I kind of regret it. I didn't think it was going to be a great fight, and everything I read about it, it seemed to be great fights. And Tony Ferguson, who is one of my all-time favorites, apparently got dominated and might be out of the UFC now. Who knows? But from boxing, I know Guapo does a show all about boxing, and he'll know more about it than either of us will ever know. But it's always nice to see a kid from New Jersey. Shakur Stevenson got another win. He's rising up the ranks, and it was normally he knocks people out, but he got a unanimous decision, if I remember correctly. And he always represents Brick City, so I got to give him props.
And props to these Jersey fighters. One thing I'm seeing here, Jake Paul offering Conor McGregor $50 million to box him. What's that? Not to disrespect those who actually box and fight in UFC.
No, supposedly Jake Paul is going to fight Mayweather.
This guy is out of his mind. He's crazy.
He knocked out Nate Robinson, a 5'4" basketball player. Come on, dude. Come on.
I mean, I might pay to watch Conor McGregor box him. I won't lie. Or Floyd Mayweather, for that matter. I would pay to watch that guy get a little beat down. Seems like a...
With Mayweather, he won't get beat down. Mayweather is just defensive. Mayweather doesn't knock anybody out. Conor will knock him the hell out.
Yeah, I'd like to see UFC with Jake Paul as opposed to boxing. But I'd pay for that. I'd pay for a McGregor-Paul fight. Speaking of paying for things, you do not have to pay for this podcast. You do not have to pay for this YouTube channel. It's all free. So please, that's our show for today. But check us out on thescenesnobs.com.
But if you want to pay us, I got an OnlyFans. I'll set that out later.
We're confirming that for sure. There's definitely... Okay. I didn't want to misrepresent you and mislead the viewers. But okay. We'll send the link out. Check out Brian's Twitter at SportsNobCast. We'll have the link up in his bio for his OnlyFans. I'll have to work on getting one. But we'll see. That's our show. Like I said, check us out, scenesnobs.com, wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. But who needs YouTube now if you have Brian's OnlyFans? So your choice. See ya.